Every cricketer, the ultimate glory. Few manage to keep their date with destiny. But for many, it's been heartbreaks and a cross to bear. The Holy Grail is here in India. I'm Rupha Ramani and Firstpost brings you the ringside view. We bring you the Cup of Dreams. Cricket World Cup coverage like never before.
The champion!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani and we are coming to you live from Mumbai. Guess it's still the hangover of the first semi-final that we are here, but I will see you in Ahmedabad pretty soon. So let's get started with the show today. Sport always remembers the victorious, and if it comes at the biggest stage, then a fan never forgets. The Cricket World Cup is one such platform where heroes are made, performances immortalized, and that one knock, that one memorable spell can transform the entire spectrum of the experience. It is cherished for decades to come. You are part of a historic moment, and that single shot, that single wicket becomes your story to narrate. The Indian cricket team is one step closer to realizing a dream that started out as unfinished business. On the show today, we will take you through the historic performers, the reasons behind the success story of two record breakers, and, contrastingly, just what is going on with the Pakistan cricket team. Babar Azam has stepped down, the entire support staff contract terminated. What next for our neighbours? And what happens in Las Vegas must stay in Vegas as far as Formula One is concerned. All that and more on the show lined up for you. But before that, let's take a look at all the headlines from the world of sports in Sports 360. Let's start with tennis. World number 2 Carlos Alcaraz won in the group stage at the ATP Finals. Spaniard Alcaraz beat Russian Andrei Rublev 7-5, 6-2 in straight sets. Alcaraz next faces Russia's Daniil Medvedev on Friday. The winner of that match will secure a spot in the semi-final. India's Rohan Bopanna scripted history at the ATP Finals. At 43 years, Bopanna has become the oldest player to win a match at the year-ending tournament. Bopanna and his partner Matthew Ebden beat Jason Kubler and Rinki Hijikata 6-4, 6-4. They are now one win away from reaching the semi-final. Burglars broke into South African Rugby Union's headquarters in Cape Town. CCTV footage shows the robbers trying to steal the Rugby World Cup trophy that South Africa won just last month, beating New Zealand. Officials say that the original trophy and its replica are safe. In golf, pro Scottish player Rory McIlroy has resigned from the PGA Tour's policy board. Reports say that McIlroy was unhappy with the PGA facing turbulence after its merger with Saudi-backed LIV Golf. McIlroy has cited personal and professional reasons for his resignation. The move has taken the golf community by storm, with some calling it shocking and unexpected. And Liverpool forward Luis Diaz had an emotional reunification with his father. The Colombian striker's father had been kidnapped by rebels, and the ordeal lasted almost 3 weeks. After seeing each other for the first time since the kidnapping, both Diaz and his father broke down. Diaz's father says the kidnapping has really affected him. Now we have to start the show with what we saw at the Wankhede last night, a match worthy of a World Cup semi-final. Two champion sides going hammer and tongs, giving it their all. The final scorecard may not reflect truly how close the match was, but it really had all the ingredients of a memorable game. Records were broken, more than 700 runs scored, legacies were cemented, some really tense moments that had silenced the Mumbai crowd too briefly, and eventually some hearts were broken too. For Kane Williamson's men, it was another chapter of so near yet so far. For Rohit's men, the ghosts of Manchester were well and truly buried in Mumbai. But more importantly, it is that formidable Indian team that has booked a place in the World Cup final, a team that has looked, played and behaved like the world #1 ODI outfit. Let's speak about the men in blue then. How do you even describe this side? Fearless, aggressive, formidable. As clinical as they've been this entire tournament. Coming into the semis, you'd imagine India's forgettable record in knockouts since 2014 would weigh on the team, but that was not to be. And two men really defied all odds, showing how things are done, showing this new Indian way of utter domination. Virat Kohli and Mohammad Shami. Two champions in the truest sense of the word. Two men who played out of their skins, put up a performance for the ages, and ensured the game didn't get out of India's hands at any point. Of course, not to forget Iyer's blistering century too that propelled India to a very daunting 397. A total of 400 in a semi-final can easily shake the boots of any opposition. But on a day an improbable record is broken, and by Virat, you can be forgiven to talk about this one. And then the sensational Shami with the ball that took India one step closer to the cup of dreams. Now, speaking of dreams, the first innings saw something we thought we would never see. 50 ODI hundreds, a half century of hundreds. By that man on your screen, Virat Kohli, a man said to be the greatest batter of his generation. In the context of the game, it was business as usual for Kohli. He came in after a fantastic start by Rohit and Shubman, took his time to settle down, played some outstanding shots, and then just went on to do things that King Kohli is known for: break records effortlessly. He breezed past the 700-run mark this World Cup, the highest ever by any player in a World Cup, eclipsing the likes of Sachin Tendulkar and Rohit Sharma. But it was that one moment, the moment when he scampered across for the second run while batting on 98. Wankhede erupted in joy. Right before that, there was a tense silence that you could sense, and I looked around to see just about everyone at the edge of their seats, eyes fixed on one man. And when that moment came, and Virat leaped in the air and sank to the ground right after, everyone knew this one was special. Virat knew it was special. And the celebration of his 50th ODI 100 said it all. He roared in delight, smiled ear to ear, soaked in the applause, and bowed to the man whose record he had just broken. A man who Virat idolizes. The man who Virat carried on his shoulders 12 years back at this very stadium when India lifted that World Cup in 2011. Sachin Tendulkar. He, of course, you could see the elation, how overjoyed the legend himself was, and just how happy he was to see an Indian break his record. Of course, Virat also sent his love across to his wife there, whom he mentioned especially right after the match. Virat had indeed surpassed the legend at Sachin's very own home ground, and that was sinking in. Virat Kohli is the only player to have scored 50 ODI hundreds, a feat that perhaps may be untouched in the years to come because there's more left in the tank. And what better stage to do than this World Cup semi-final?
All this feels like a dream, too good to be true. Feels surreal for me. Anushka was sitting right there. Sachin sir was here too. Difficult to explain this. If I could paint a perfect picture, I would want this to be the picture. My life partner, the person who I love the most, is sitting there. My hero is sitting there, and I was able to get the 50th ODI 100 in front of all of them. And all these stands in Wankhede as well. Such a historic venue. So it was amazing.
But the clinical execution didn't end here. Once India were done with their batting pyrotechnics, it was up to the bowling unit to defend 398. Like we've been saying all this while, this Indian bowling unit is something different. If Bumrah doesn't get you, Siraj will. If Jadeja doesn't, Kuldeep will. But last night was special. The Kiwis came out with a strong intent and didn't want to give anything away. They put the Indian bowlers under the pump. However, just when you began thinking that the game is heading to a tricky territory, in came a man who has been spectacular this entire tournament, Mohammad Shami. Now, before we get into this beautiful performance from last night, let me tell you a little interesting story. If there's one word that describes Shami and how he made his presence into the playing 11, it's serendipity. Picture this. In the 2019 World Cup, Shami wasn't the first choice in the playing 11. An injured Bhuvaneshwar Kumar meant Shami had to be drafted in 4 games into the tournament. He came in and made an impact straight away, taking that famous hat-trick against Afghanistan. Cut to 2023. Hardik Pandya's unfortunate injury against Bangladesh meant India had to rethink their combinations. And given the all-rounder he is, replace him with 2 players. So Thakur and Hardik made way for Surya Kumar Yadav and Mohammad Shami. 2 all-rounders making way for a pure batter and a pure bowler. almost like a blessing in disguise for Rohit's men. And Shami hasn't looked back ever since, as hungry and determined as ever. He started his World Cup 2023 campaign with a fifer, and against the very team that they beat last night. And in fact, yesterday was quite the journey for him. He's brought into the attack in the 5th over by Rohit Sharma and strikes first ball with the wicket of Devon Conway. Then goes on to take down the dangerous Rachin Ravindra. You could see that he is bowling full throttle and is in his rhythm. But then comes a crucial moment in the field. Shami puts down a sitter that would have dismissed Kane Williamson, who was stitching a very key partnership with Daryl Mitchell at the other end. And that got many thinking if he had dropped the game for India. Given how Williamson and Mitchell were batting all along, you could see Shami was gutted too. And let's be honest, such moments always keep replaying in any player's head and could potentially distract you. Not Shami though. In fact, he had the last laugh. He comes back into the attack and breaks the crucial partnership, taking the wicket off, yes, the captain, Kane Williamson. What followed was absolute carnage by Shami, breaking one record after another. In fact, this is what his figures read at the end of the match. 9.5 overs, 7 wickets for 57 runs. Unimaginable in a World Cup semi-final. There's more where that came from. Shami's now got the most fifers in World Cups, overtaking Mitchell Starc. Most wickets by an Indian in a World Cup, bettering Zaheer Khan's record in 2011. Best bowling returns for India in ODI cricket. And he leads the charts for most wickets this World Cup. Clearly, there's no mountain peak that Shami hasn't conquered. And even so, you can bet he will surmount that as well.
I said the word relentless, and I kind of think that's what they are. They just keep coming at you. From the time that Shami has come into the side, he's just lifted. I think he's lifted that attack a little bit more. What's he picked up? A 5, a 4 and a 5, and there's only 3 games to play. So I think he's just complemented that seam bowling attack, to elevate them probably to the best in the tournament so far.
So what really makes Mohammad Shami so deadly? One major point is that he doesn't over-experiment. He doesn't try to do too many things at once. He runs in hard, knows what he wants to do and executes it perfectly. Especially that beautiful seam position that's straight as an arrow, when the ball just either jacks back in or goes away from the batter. And at that pace that Shami bowls in, consistently around the 140 km/h mark, it almost always puts the batter in 2 minds, prompting them to commit the mistake. Remember the game against England in Lucknow, where Shami was all over Ben Stokes. Again, a very dangerous player there. The English all-rounder just couldn't get bat to ball. Shami trusted his line and length, and the ball kept beating Stokes. Then frustration kicked in, and of course resulting in the wicket. And that's really been the hallmark of Mohammad Shami, to wear, tear down and threaten the opposition. Mind you, it hasn't been an easy ride for him in the last few years. In and out of the side, some troubles on the personal front, but to reinvent yourself despite all this, come back fitter and stronger and grab an opportunity with both hands when it comes your way. The story of Mohammad Shami, the champion bowler he is something that will always be told and retold for years to come. Given the way he's gone about his business in a country that really prides itself on its batters, a country that worships batting legends and has not really had a legacy of tearaway greats or a pace battery. One can recall Kapil Dev, Javagal Srinath, possibly Venkatesh Prasad in combination, and Zaheer Khan. A few and far in between who've left an impact in the game. And come Sunday, when all roads will only lead to Ahmedabad's Narendra Modi Stadium, you'd hope that it's these champions that will step up one more time and take India past that final hurdle. Now let's shift our focus from the great cricket that India has displayed at this World Cup to our South Asian neighbours, Pakistan, a team that came into the tournament with high hopes and expectations. The first few days were going well for the green shirts. They were winning over fans on social media, and they got off to a good start until they met India at Ahmedabad, where a superior side and a boisterous crowd crippled Pakistan's confidence. It was a bumpy ride for them then on. First, it was Pakistan's coach Mickey Arthur who made some rather comical statements to defend the team's performance. He said that Pakistan lost because a popular song called Dil Dil Pakistan was not played in the stadium. Then there was Imamul Haq saying that the team was not able to hit sixes because they were not getting a protein-rich diet. These were some of the things that were being said in India while the World Cup was still on. But things in Pakistan were going beyond imaginable levels. Former Pakistan players were coming up with all theories for why India was winning and Pakistan wasn't. Hassan Raza made the bold claim that the International Cricket Council, or the ICC, was giving Indian bowlers different balls, which was giving them that added advantage in the matches. Other veterans like Shoaib Akhtar and Waqar Younis were questioning Pakistan's cricket board and captain Babar Azam. Allegations and accusations were flying around on national television. Pakistan's chief of selection, Inzamam-ul Haq, stepped down from his position right in the middle of a World Cup. He was facing allegations of being a shareholder in a prominent player management firm which represents players like Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan and Shaheen Shah Afridi. Basically, ever since the loss to India, Pakistan could not hold themselves together. They were riddled by controversies that wouldn't stop unraveling. How can a nation expect their players to perform at the best possible level when there's so much background turmoil and noise? And this took a toll on the men in green. Pakistan were unable to make it to the top 4 at the World Cup, and the blame game began. The first casualty clearly has been Babar Azam. And this is not unusual. Whenever a team has a bad performance, the captain is always usually the first to face the guillotine. And that was the fate that awaited Babar. Once Pakistan returned home, Babar Azam put down his papers, and he has resigned as the captain from all cricketing formats. Here's what he wrote on social media.
I vividly remember the moment when I received the call from the PCB to lead Pakistan in 2019. Over the past 4 years, I've experienced many highs and lows, on and off the field. But I wholeheartedly and passionately aim to maintain Pakistan's pride and respect in the cricket world. Reaching the number 1 spot in the white ball format was a result of the collective efforts of players, coaches and management, but I'd like to express my gratitude to passionate Pakistan cricket fans for their unwavering support during this journey. Today, I am stepping down as the captain of Pakistan in all formats. It's a difficult decision, but I feel it's a right time for this call. I will continue to represent Pakistan as a player in all 3 formats. I am here to support the new captain and the team with my experience and dedication.
Babar has led Pakistan across all formats since 2019, but he took over Pakistan's ODI and Test squads a year later in 2020, and his record as a captain has been quite phenomenal, particularly in the one-dayers. Babar has been Pakistan's captain in 43 ODI matches. Under his leadership, the team has won 26 matches with a win percentage of just above 60%. That is the 4th highest win percentage for Pakistan in all its cricketing years. It's an amazing achievement considering Babar has been captain for only a few years. But the exit from the World Cup has turned things over. Babar no longer holds the top spot, as we know, and PCB was quick to swing into action and announce the replacements. Pacer Shaheen Shah Afridi will lead Pakistan in ODIs and T20 formats. This comes as a bit of a shock, especially because there were also rumours of a spat between Babar and Shaheen during the Asia Cup. We're not sure if any of it were true, but it sure looks like they added fuel to the fire. But then again, who else to spearhead and take the team forward and rebuild at such a crucial stage? Shan Masood will take charge of Pakistan's Test team. The green shirts will now have 2 different captains across 3 formats. It wasn't just Pakistan's playing 11 that saw their leadership change. The Pakistan Cricket Board, or PCB, has announced a complete overhaul. PCB has changed the complete coaching staff portfolio. Team director Mickey Arthur and head coach Grant Bradburn have been sacked. Former captain and all-rounder Mohammad Hafiz has been appointed as the Pakistan team's director. A new head coach will be appointed shortly. Earlier this week, bowling coach Moni Mokel had also resigned from his duties. It seems like the entire Pakistan cricketing scenario is undergoing a massive makeover. And that's a sign that the community will welcome. Change in leadership is common in sports. It happens to the best of teams. Pakistan is no different. But what they really need to do is focus on playing cricket. There is too much chatter coming from what was once considered a South Asian cricketing giant. And it's not just from the current playing team, but even former players. Veteran Abdul Razak was in the spotlight after he made derogatory remarks against popular Indian actor and former Miss World Aishwarya Rai. Now, former PCB chairman Ramiz Raja is facing backlash for laughing at racist comments. He was seen laughing on a Pakistan TV show targeting the skin color of West Indies legend Vivian Richards and his former partner, the Indian actor Neena Gupta. It's okay for veterans to have opinions on sports and sporting teams, but things are just getting stranger. It looks like Pakistan needs to get more than just its playing 11 in order. Some of the veterans are focused on everything else other than the cricket. the best thing for the team to do would be to focus on the cricket. Only empty vessels make most noise. For now, though, it looks like a long road ahead for Pakistan to start taking their sport seriously. Changes are always good, but just how soon can they bounce back from all of this is something that we will wait and watch. Now, the thrill of speed is returning to the American city of Las Vegas after a gap of 41 years. Yes, that's right. The last time that a Formula One race was held in Las Vegas was back in 1982. The race was staged on a track built in the parking lot of the iconic Caesars Palace Hotel, and unfortunately, it wasn't much of a success. After a dry spell of over 4 decades, things are shaping up quite differently now in Las Vegas, and the excitement is reaching peak levels. It's the penultimate race of the season, and the top 3 racers will be vying to seal a win ahead of the final showdown. In contest are Red Bull's racing sensation Max Verstappen, who has had a record-breaking season, and his teammate Sergio Perez. Right behind them is 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton from Mercedes, who has been facing some niggles throughout the year. The race flags off on Saturday night, Las Vegas time, and the city is buzzing. Even the racers are excited for the grand return.
Formula One racing has returned to Las Vegas for the first time after 4 decades, and it's promising to be a spectacular show. Red Bull Racing's Max Verstappen sits comfortably at the number 1 rank. He's trailed by teammate Sergio Perez. The points difference between the two of them is almost 250. The Red Bull duo are trailed by Lewis Hamilton from Mercedes. Hamilton is behind Perez by a little over 20 points. The gap between the two is not much, which is why the next race is going to be crucial. So what makes the Vegas Grand Prix so special? The first time the city hosted an F1 race was the year 1981. And the very next year, in 1982, it held another race. Since then, there has been no F1 action in Las Vegas. But now the fastest cars on the planet are back in the city. The new track is just over 6 kilometers long. There will be a total of 50 laps in the race. The total distance that the race cars will cover is over 300 kilometers. There are going to be 17 turns on the circuit. The race will be held at night, which will be challenging for the drivers, and the racetrack has a capacity of over 100,000 spectators. Apart from the noise coming from the cars, it looks like the crowd's cheers will be deafening too. And the Las Vegas Grand Prix is expected to fetch almost $1 billion in revenue. Truly, it's going to be a grand show. It's not just Vegas which is excited. The F1 racers too are itching to have a go on the freshly built track. They want the challenge of a night race along with the cold conditions.
I think the biggest challenge is going to be the temperature. I think this is one of the coldest, probably the coldest race that we have done in a long, long time. Normally we're in hotter climates, you know, so yeah, this is chilly. But I raced when I was younger. I raced in cold climates like this, like in Scotland, around the UK. But I think it's going to it'll be interesting this weekend. But also it's a new circuit. We only have a short amount of time to learn it, so I'm excited though.
Hamilton's teammate too shared his excitement for what's in store.
I'm really intrigued ahead of this weekend because we're stepping into the unknown. Racing in Vegas, night race, is much colder than every other race we ever participate in, and being within this city with all the lights is going to be pretty wild. So I'm just excited to see what that journey brings, but above all, I want to know if we're going to be quick or not, and that's ultimately what it comes down to.
The track in Vegas will be cold and unknown for the racers. But once the rush of adrenaline kicks in, it'll only be about the racers' instinct and how much they can push their machines. Motorsports are gaining popularity more than any other sport. This year has been a record season for the sport, with 24 races this year. F1 has seen its busiest racing calendar ever. Las Vegas is seeing the speed show return after 41 years. China and Qatar too saw the return of F1. And it looks like the sport is only going to expand. And nations like India and Russia, which once hosted the race, could soon see F1 racing making a comeback in a grander avatar.
It's almost the end of the show, so it's time for Last Serve, what we call as our parting shot that we end the show with. Football's great David Beckham is in India for the first time. He witnessed the India versus New Zealand World Cup semi-final at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai and tried his hand at cricket alongside some young girls in the state of Gujarat.
Thank you.
And that does it here on Firstpost. We thank you for joining us once again and staying with our coverage of the Cup of Dreams throughout this entire World Cup. It's just a few more days left. I'll see you next in Ahmedabad. Keep watching all our updates here as we bring you exclusive coverage from the sidelines, all the buzz, the noise and excitement that surrounds the last leg of the Cricket World Cup. Thanks for watching. You take care. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.